Welcome everyone and thank you for turning up. Let's take the opening aspiration. Now, would anyone want to read it out aloud for all of us?
Yeah. With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Yeah, thank you. So we were towards the end of verse 12 and beginning of verse 13. So we can take just, I think, the last 2-3 pages or 2 pages maybe, not much. Yeah, so this we had studied that the difficult situation specifically, since this verse is about embracing adversity, just reminding ourselves of the verse. If someone driven by great desire seizes all my wealth or induces others to do so, to dedicate to him or her my body, possessions, and past, present, future merit is the practice of a bodhisattva. So when we talk about wealth, it doesn't just mean wealth. Anything, anything that respect or name or whatever. If someone is trying to harm it or you know, bring shame to the name, here the attitude is that it doesn't matter. You say that or le le bhai, or le le, jo lena hai le le. So even then you are rooted in yourself. You're not insecure that, oh, what will happen of me. So here we were almost on this page, and we were reading that how when we have nice and kind and friendly people around us, then we don't have the material to practice. But it's only when we have difficult situations, difficult people around us, then we have the material to practice. So just I'll take an overlap and then we can read the new paragraphs. We need to develop compassion, loving kindness, patience, and generosity with the behavior of others. We need to cultivate an open, flexible heart mind. How can we learn these qualities if everyone only does and says everything we want them to say and do? Then we may think, I'm such a kind, friendly person, everybody loves me, and I love everybody. But if we only love everybody because everybody loves us, we don't learn anything. The reason why the celestial Deva realms are regarded as a spiritual dead end is because everything there is too lovely. So again, when we have lots of good people around, everybody resonates with me. Not good people in the sense that everybody resonates with me, मेरी frequency सबके साथ match होती है. Then there is hardly any raw material to practice, and I can think that, oh, I am the best person on this planet. But only when we have people around with whom we don't resonate, which is the condition with most of us, and which we can be thankful for, because that is where we realize that there is a lot that we can change within. Because in the realm of heaven, there is hardly any progress. There can't be any progress. So let's read the new paragraphs for today. If anyone can read the 2 paragraphs in front for all of us, then we can take them up and reflect. Yes, if anyone has the capacity to read. Starting from sometimes when everything goes smoothly.
Sometimes, when everything goes smoothly and beautifully, people don't have much incentive to practice. Why bother to practice when I'm having such a great time? In the celestial realms, everybody is beautiful and never ages. As long as the good karma that caused that rebirth lasts, it's all lovely. But everything is impermanent, and even the celestial realms are still within the wheel of samsara. And since we have not been making any interest on that merit, when the balance in that merit bank begins to decline and runs out, Then we have to leave the celestial realms and be reborn again. Meanwhile, we haven't learned anything. To encourage us on the paths, there is the carrot and the stick. The carrot is the assurance that with practice we will feel better, more calm and clear, and we will feel more at ease within ourselves. We will genuinely be able to be of more benefit to other sentient beings and so forth. The stick or whip is the difficulty in our daily life. These are the things that drive us on to develop a wholly different relationship with adverse circumstances and difficult people, which is what is going to help us to cultivate compassion and patient endurance and kindness and generosity.
Yeah, thank you. Take a pause here. Yeah, so any thoughts, any reflections here on these two paragraphs are welcome. So we all must have seen whenever we are with people who we resonate with, whenever we are surrounded by all the people in our life who don't want us to change, then we have a gala time. There's hardly any progress that we make. So sometimes when everything goes smoothly and beautifully, people don't have much incentive to practice. Why should I practice? Why should I practice taming my mind when things are completely fine? I'm not suffering. Why bother to practice when I'm having such a great time? So this happens with all of us. In the celestial realms, everybody is beautiful and never ages. As long as the good karma that caused that rebirth lasts, it is all lovely. But everything is impermanent. And even the celestial realms are still within the wheels of samsara. And since we have not been making any interest on that merit, when the balance in that merit bank begins to decline and runs out, then we have to leave the celestial realms and be reborn again. And in the meantime, we haven't learned anything. So, if we are true warriors, then we would love challenging situations, because we then realize, all of us realize, that it's in the presence of most difficult situations, difficult people, that we actually feel the conviction to work upon ourselves, our mind, and to have kind heart, to have compassion in our heart, and to have a little sanity in the mind and feeling. Otherwise, really, there is hardly any motivation that why should we practice when everything is good. So this is very good for us when time to time situations are difficult, because they push us to practice. So we have the carrot and we have the stick. Stick is the suffering, difficult people, and carrot is that we actually feel very nice when we do the practice, because of the pain, because of the suffering. So the carrot is the assurance that with practice we will feel better, more calm and clear, and we will feel more at ease within ourselves. We'll be genuinely able to be of more benefit to other sentient beings and so forth. So when we have a calm mind, when we are not wanting and expecting things from all the people around us, by the effect of not wanting and not being a beggar all the time, we become kind and loving presence around whoever people who are there. So we are able to benefit them. The stick or whip is the difficulty of our daily life. All of us have different kinds of difficulty. सबकी लाइफ में कुछ ना कुछ है जो उसको पीछे से चाबुक की तरह, it's like we are hit on the back. And if not for that pain, we won't go ahead. So that is what the picture that Sri Aurobindo shares in Savitri, that pain is like a goad. जैसे आप बैल चल रही होती है तो उसको आप डंडे से थोड़ा पोक करते हो कि चल चल, so pain is like that goad which pushes us to practice towards good and beneficial patterns. So the stick or whip is the difficulty in our daily life. These are the things that drive us on to develop a wholly different relationship with adverse circumstances and difficult people, which is what is going to help us to cultivate compassion and patient endurance and kindness and generosity. So all the time, this we had discussed this earlier. All the time we are lost in 8 worldly concerns. Whenever we are lost in our mind, we will see that we are lost in these 8 worldly concerns, which are wanting pleasure, not wanting pain, wanting gain, not wanting loss, wanting respect, not wanting disrespect, and wanting name and recognition, and not wanting to be rejected or insulted. So, all the time, whenever in our head we are too much overcrowded, the mind is just full of thoughts and there is just too much going on, we will see that we are just stuck in one of these aspects. So, when we are able to take the adverse situations on our path, then we are not running away from pain. We are saying, okay, come, pain, come. We are not inviting it, but we are ready to face it. And neither are we running towards pleasure, because we know that when we go through difficult situations, we cultivate many good beneficial patterns, and we are convinced that no, अब mind का कुछ करना पड़ेगा, mind की बहुत बुरी हालत है, and we'll have to work with the mind to make it supple and pliable and sane and organized. So we stop thinking about all the people that disturb us. We develop a generous heart. We don't want to be uneasy all the time thinking about other people. So slowly, slowly, because of the difficulties, we become a lotus in the muddy water. And then we are out of those 8 worldly concerns, because now I am not wanting to be running towards pleasure or running away from pain, because I know pain brings me growth, loss brings me growth, insult brings me growth. Then that running away is not there. So anything on these 2 paragraphs that we read, anyone? Okay, then we go ahead. If not anything, we can take 2 more paragraphs. So if anyone has the capacity to read, please read 2 more paragraphs.
Therefore, whenever we see ill natured people overwhelmed by their strong misdeeds and sufferings, we need to treasure them as something rare. These are the people who are going to help with our practice. People who are difficult, people who challenge us in any way, are the people who are going to help us on the spiritual path. Rather than avoiding them, we are grateful for them, for their support in helping us to cultivate these qualities. How are we going to learn otherwise? If we don't exercise, we are never going to get strong muscles. Inside, we are going to be spiritually flabby. We can manage when everything is nice and pleasant, and the road is smooth and beautifully paved. But the minute it gets a bit bumpy, with ruts and potholes, then we can't drive. We just stall. This is the most important point. There is a story of a Zen monk who was quite poor and lived in a hermitage. One day, he came back to find that his hut had been broken into everything and everything had been taken from him. His pots and pans, stores of food, everything. He looked around and then went outside where it was night time and the moon was full. He looked at the sky and said, "Oh, I wish I could have given him the moon." It's a feeling that whatever the thieves took, we want them to take more. We want them to be happy. If they stole, it is because they have negative emotions in their minds, or maybe they have a great need. If they took money, then we can think, I hope he really needs that money. Maybe he needs to educate or feed his children. Hopefully, he doesn't just use it on drinks and puts it to some good use. I'm happy for him. If the money's gone anyway, why worry? Whether or not the money is returned, the point is either we feel upset, angry, and deprived, or we say to ourselves, oh well, that's cleared up that karma. And I hope now he's content because he made a really good haul. Good that I made one sentient being happy today.
Yeah, thank you. So, it's very interesting that all of us are living mostly like beggars, and we have a conviction somewhere, a belief somewhere that this worldly life can give us lasting satisfaction. So, what we do is that if something is snatched away from us, we run after it. Why? Because I have a promise somewhere in mind that, oh, as if my happiness is snatched away from me. But with our experiences in life and with a little bit of practice, we begin to realize that the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God and contentment actually lies within. So people can loot you of everything. You can be totally naked in front of everyone with respect to, being disrespected, insulted, dejected, everything being looted. You have no poise left, in front of people. And even then, if you have a turning within, if you have a taste of that intimacy with your own self, nothing will be shaken within. Because you will have a taste that ultimate contentment is to be found within. No pleasure on this earth can give us a lasting contentment, and we are all looking for that lasting contentment. A happiness that never goes away, a contentment that never goes away. Aren't we all looking for that? Why do we feel so sad when a loved one goes away? Why do we feel so sad when our relationship breaks? Because we thought that it's going to give us lasting happiness. But the very fact is that nothing of this world, which is manifested world of things and forms and people, where everything is coming and going and coming and going, there we can't have a solid ground. Nothing, absolutely nothing, no matter how beautiful a relationship is. It cannot give us a lasting contentment. It will change. So once these are not just words for us, this becomes our living reality. That yes, I have seen this. I totally trust it, and I see this and I experience this every day. And then when you turn within and you find that happiness, when you work on yourself, when you make yourself more open hearted, more compassionate, more wise, read good books, good words, stay in company of good words, then you slowly begin to realize that I have this joy within. So why am I running outside? There is no need to run outside. So then, what we were reading, that even if people may snatch things away from me, my respect is gone, I don't have a position that I usually had, money is not there, but you know that joy can always be found within. Contentment is only to be found within. So then there is no point of cribbing about all the wrong things that are happening in our life, because it's okay. Things happen, things are fleeting. What can we expect? So slowly, with practice, I think we have to get in touch with that inner satisfaction, inner joy. It's not a very exciting joy. You are very outside. You can look very neutral, But inside you have a contentment, inside you have a joy of working on yourself. Mother says progress brings us joy. Self mastery, mastering your mind, brings you joy. That is true joy, because that is totally independent of what people are saying, not saying, what you are getting in the world, not getting, what is snatched away, what is not snatched away. It is totally irrespective. So we all have to get in touch with that inner satisfaction, the inner joy. And then what is the kind of relationship that we'll have with the world? We will offer our presence and abilities to the world. We won't live like a beggar. Now we are a king within, and we offer our presence to the world which suffers, because each one of us begs all the time. So it's a different relationship that we develop with the world. Now we don't want anything from the world, we just offer our presence. So that is also our possibility. Yeah. Anything here? Anyone? Also, it's good to reflect upon why are we so why is it so difficult to be around ill-natured people? What happens when we have someone difficult around us? Think about it. Think of difficult people in your life. They are not able to provide us with a lasting happiness, not even temporary happiness. So it makes us disappointed. We want harmony, but because of the interaction between us and them, we have disharmony, right? Because we have ego clashes. And nobody of us would like that disharmony or those clashes if we have a little bit of defined sense, right? So how do they become help? How do ill-natured people become a help? Because then I have to totally depend upon my happiness within. They won't give it to me. उनसे कोई उम्मीद नहीं है. So it's very good. उन्होंने क्या किया आपको? उन्होंने आपको बता दिया कि भैया मेरे से उम्मीद मत रखना. हाँ? जो हमें बार बार उम्मीद थी कि भैया कभी तो चेंज होगा, कभी तो चेंज होगा, कभी तो चेंज होगा. नहीं चेंज होगा वो. आप बोलो क्या करोगे? रोते रहोगे? कब तक रहोगे? So it's very good that they make us hopeless that the things outside may not change. Yes, but that doesn't mean that I will remain unhappy. So they actually make us independent of them. And it is said in some contemporary therapies, they say that these are soul families, the difficult people that you have chosen in your life to play that difficult role. Actually, they are your best friends. They say that they are your best friends in the soul family, and they have chosen to be a villain in your life so that you can be your best, because nobody else was agreeing to be a villain. So only your best friend, your bestest soul companion agreed that okay, I am going to be a villain in your life, because that will give you the strength that you require. So that is one of the theories that they have these days, that the most difficult ones are our bestest companions in a different realm. Yeah. Any reflection, any thought here? Okay, so then we can finish this off today. We can take the last bit. If someone can take the last bit, then we can reflect upon it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
The last bit Okay, start from it is usually, right? It is usually not the situation itself that causes the problem. It is our reaction to it that causes the problem. When we create the suffering for ourselves, it is not the perpetrator who is suffering. We have the suffering of loss and we have the suffering of resentment. So we have double suffering. This doesn't mean we don't lock our doors and take sensible precautions, but it does mean that when we lose things, then we accept we have lost them. But really, so what? When things happen in life that I don't want to happen, I usually say to myself, if this was the worst thing that was happening in the world at this moment, this would be a pure land. Because really, most of our problems are so irrelevant compared to the dreadful things that are happening to other people right now. So why do we get so upset? More on this topic follows in verse 13.
Yeah, thank you. So this is very interesting. What you just read, very, very interesting. What we see and again reflect upon, that we don't see things as they really are. We see them through the curtain of our thoughts and opinions. So, and each and every person thinks that what I am thinking is the right view. How can that be possible? Hmm? So, all of us are very deluded. Everyone has a story in the head, and each one is thinking that my story is the right one. So, we are having a story, we are connecting the dots in such and such and such manner that we create and recreate our suffering. So he says, Jetsunma shares here, it is usually not the situation itself that causes the problem. It is our reaction to it that causes the problem. Very, crux of everything. If we don't react in that manner which is negative and harmful, then we can deal with the problem in much, much, much simpler and a better way. If we remove all the drama in the story of the roles that are being played, totally remove the drama and exactly just look at the situation, then we will see that we can deal with any situation in a better way. It's only our dramas and story in the head which don't allow us to operate in an efficient way. So when we create the suffering for ourselves, it is not the perpetrator who is suffering. We have the suffering of loss and we have the suffering of resentment. So we have double suffering. First there is loss, कुछ खो गया आपका, और फिर आप क्यों, आपके दिमाग में स्टोरी चल रही है कि मेरे साथ ये हुआ कैसे, तो पूरा आप उसको क्रिएट कर रहे हो, देन यू रिसेंट दैट पर्सन हु टुक दैट थिंग अवे फ्रॉम यू. सो यू हैव अ डबल सफरिंग, नॉट ओनली ऑफ लॉस. हाँ, छूटा तो छूटा, मान लो कार चोरी हो गई, मान लो पैसा लुट गया, अब वो तो हुआ ही, चलो वो तो एक लॉस है जो अनअवॉइडेबल है. बट नाउ व्हाट एम आई डूइंग, आई एम क्रिएटिंग इन माई हेड अ स्टोरी विच आई थिंक इट इज ट्रू. नोबडी, नन ऑफ अस वुड से कि नहीं ये तो मेरी क्रिएशन है. नो, वो तो हम सोचते ही नहीं है ना, हमको तो लगता है यही तो है. सो आई एम having a story in my head about all the things that are happening, and then I create a double suffering for myself where I begin to resent people in my life for what they did, because I think this and this what they did and this is what they meant, and they were manipulative and they had this and this. So all the unconnected dots I am connecting in my mind, creating a big hallucination myself and draining all my energy in that, rather than actually maybe dealing with the problem in a better way. Mother says that human beings are most miserable animals on this planet, because we just take ourselves too seriously. Very true. Who are we but a speck of dust in the wide whole universe? So many galaxies, we don't know how many unexplored earths may be there. And we are just a speck of dust, not even that. And look at how big our problems become when we are obsessed by me and my story. So then she continues. She says, this does not mean we don't lock our doors and take sensible precautions, but it does mean that when we lose things, then we accept that we have lost them. अरे भैया, किसी और को कैंसर हो सकता है तो मेरे को क्यों नहीं हो सकता? What's the big deal? कोई और अपने प्यारों को खो सकता है तो मैं क्यों नहीं खो सकता? है ना? कितनी मुश्किल होती है जब हमारे घर का कोई मर जाता है, कितनी मुश्किल होती है, हम एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर पाते, भगवान पे गुस्सा करते हैं, कैसे ले लिया? भाई तब तुम कहाँ थे जब न्यूज़पेपर पे लोग मर रहे थे? वो भी तो लोग हैं, वो भी तो इंसान है. So just to accept that things happen, what can we do? We have to just go through it. Things happen with so many people. You are not the only one with whom things are happening. आप इतने कोई स्पेशल नहीं हो. Everybody is special. Everybody is unique. So to realize, to be grounded in that humility that we all are nothing but just a speck of dust. Why to take ourselves so seriously and make our problems so big? कि पूरा हमारा मूड, नॉट इवन एक दिन के लिए, कि पूरे 1 साल 2 साल पूरी जिंदगी खराब कर देते हैं कभी कभी उस मूड के चक्कर में. ऐसे हम शातिर दिमाग. So to accept that we have lost them, and so what? Realizing the impermanence of things in life, realizing the impermanence of people in life. If somebody else can lose their mother or father, I can also lose my mother and father. What is the big deal about it? If somebody else can have a broken heart, I can also have a broken heart. So to accept these fleeting things as happenings of life, and when things happen in life that I don't want to happen, I usually say to myself, if this was the worst thing that was happening in the world at this moment, this would be a pure land. But we all know that that's not the worst thing. There are worser things that are happening at this moment of time. Because really, most of our problems are so irrelevant compared to how dreadful things that are happening to other people right now. So why do we get so upset? तो अपने आप को हम बहुत स्पेशल समझते हैं, चाहे कितना भी सेल्फ वर्थ इशू हो हमको, लेकिन फिर भी हमको लगता है कि हम बड़े स्पेशल हैं. हमारे साथ ये नहीं हो सकता, बाकियों के साथ होता होगा, वो कोई होंगे ऑर्डिनरी बीइंग्स. So I feel that when cancer happened to me, that was the best thing that happened, in the sense that made me realize that I am just very ordinary and I'm just one of them. उनको हो सकता है तो मेरे को भी हो सकता है, उनके माता पिता गुजर सकते हैं, मेरे भी गुजर सकते हैं, उनके क्या कहते हैं रिलेशनशिप ब्रेक हो सकती है, मेरी भी हो सकती है. क्या कर सकते हैं, ये तो संसार ही ऐसा है. एवरीथिंग इज फ्लीटिंग. कितना रोओगे? और रोने में हम भूल जाते हैं कि हमारे पास कितना तो है. वी आर हेल्दी, वी आर नॉट इन द हॉस्पिटल, वी हैव relatively good amount of money that we can eat, we have a roof over our head, we have so much that we can give to other people. Mentally intellect काम कर रहा है, emotions काम कर रहे हैं, कितना कुछ तो है, फिर भी रोएंगे. So then when we recognize that we are just crying without any big deal about it, then we see that there is so much we can offer to people around us. That opens our heart. Mother says, in self-giving lies our fullness, when we give ourselves. We all have to be those torches that the world really, really desperately needs everywhere. There are cheat people, there are mean people, but there can be more kind people also. who are not all the time thinking कि मेरे को क्या मिला, मेरे को क्या मिलेगा इससे, not all the time thinking that मैं क्या दे सकता हूँ यहाँ पे, what can I offer here, how can I help. और हम सब कर सकते हैं, करना चाहिए, whatever little way we can do, wherever we are, with whomever we are around, whoever people are around us, always trying to kind of bringing in a kind of a harmony in the place wherever we are, not like forcefully, but just because of our presence, which is undemanding in nature and yet loving, undemanding yet loving, because we know how much people suffer in their mind, just like I have suffered, people suffer in their minds, so I can be one drop of poison less. Yeah, so anything here, anyone? So we won't start with verse 13 today, although I had scanned it and made it ready, but we'll start it next time. I think this much is enough. If there are any last comments, we can take. Okay, so I hope all of us are.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Ant-
Yes.
yeah, when you were talking about this thing where you said, if I, if something happens to my parents, then it can also happen to others' parents, and also about how, to see, like, to be able to see what is going on around us versus just seeing or just being too self-centered. And it's the first time I am able to see a different perspective of being sensitive. For guys, normally growing up, many adults, would suggest that don't be too sensitive. And I used to be under this assumption that by being too sensitive, I'll cry all the time. But now when you say this, and now if I can work on my sensitivity and I can be sensitive to others versus just my parents, this really, it actually gives me more strength now, because now I am not just worried about my parents, but now I'll be thinking about others too. So if anything really happens to my parents or to me, then now I can kind of, move out away from me, because there are other things that also matter. So that's a really beautiful perspective, you when you shared it, I was able to get. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. So that's a very good channelizing of sensitivity, as you shared. कि जहां वो सिर्फ 4 लोगों में सीमित थी और वो एक तरह से हार्मफुल हो रही थी उस सीमित होने में, है ना, लिमिटेड होने में, नैरो होने में, इट बिकम्स हार्मफुल द मोमेंट यू एक्सपैंड दैट सेंसिटिविटी. सो आप उसका कुछ और ही एक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन देखते हो. सो यस, दैट्स वेरी ब्यूटीफुल. वी डोंट हैव टू बिकम स्टोन लाइक. we have to uh, we have to preserve that sensitivity and channelize it in the right way, as you said. Beautiful. So let us all continue with whatever little daily practices that we are doing, and whenever evil thoughts or ill thoughts come in our head, to transform them into something positive. जब थॉट्स आती हैं लोगों के बारे में, चिंता आती है, तो उसको एवरीथिंग वी कैन टर्न इट इनटू पॉजिटिविटी. कि सबके साथ अच्छा होगा, मुझे पता है अच्छा होगा, क्योंकि देयर इज अ हायर प्लान विच आई डोंट नो. तो सबके साथ अच्छा ही होना है. अच्छे इन द सेंस that growth in consciousness, everyone will grow in their consciousness through the unfolding of their life. There is a certainty. So having that certainty in ourselves, whenever we are worried and have anxious thoughts and negative thoughts, we can always become conscious and make them into something good. Having a good heart, may everyone be well and happy, whether they are so-called enemies or not enemies or strangers. May everyone, because everyone is craving for that happiness that we are craving for. So may everyone, let's dedicate the session sharing all the merit that we have from our individual or collective practice, May all of us, known to us, unknown to us, strangers, difficult people in our life, may all of us be well and happy, truly, truly happy within. May we not suffer, and may all the causes of suffering be taken away from us. And may I be one drop of poison less in this whole wide universe. Thank you. So we end here.